Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we've got one that was requested by a viewer. We got three little images right here. I've got a little click for more info, bit of text on top of the images. When you roll over them, you can see you've got a little hand icon there indicating you can click. When we click, little module's going to pop in. As you can see, we've got different amounts of text in these modules. They're all the same height here. Click again, they're going to disappear. Really easy to do. Nice little interactive element to have on your site here too. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. Well, let's just roll down to where we want to work. I'll delete this row and we'll start from scratch. And I've also got a little code module just up here. I'm going to delete that one too. Okay. Well, I've got an empty section here inside mine. I'm going to put a row with 3 columns in it. Put as many or as few as you want in yours. Now, this can work with any module. In that last one, I used a blurb module. You can use a call to action, anything you want here today. I'm going to continue on, just use a blurb module again. As you can see, it puts in a dummy image, a little bit of text there. I'll leave the text pretty much exactly as it is. I'm going to switch to an icon though. Under the content tab, under the actual content here where you put your title and your body text, I'm going to go down to image and icon, flip the little use icon switch to yes. Then pop in whatever icon you want to put in yours. Fantastic. I'm going to go down, I'm going to give mine a background color. I'm just going to give them a simple blue. Obviously work with whatever colors work for your style. Okay, well, let's pop over to our design tab now. The image and icon, I want that to be white and perhaps a little bit smaller. I'm going to make mine maybe 50 pixels. And if we hover over the little title there and text, we can do those individually, or we can just roll down to text here and do them both at the same time. You can do them individually in title and body text there, or both together in the text here. I want to make it light in color. As you can see, it's done both the title and the text there. I want to pop it in the middle. Great. Now, sizing wise, I'm going to make mine a minimum height of 300 pixels. I'm making it minimum so that if it's on smaller screens, it can actually get bigger. I'm just putting in 300, it'll put in the pics. As you can see, that's grown a little bit. In fact, let's up that to 350. Be more the shape that I want for the images that I'm going to use behind. Fantastic. Now, this will work on tablet and mobile just as well, but we may want to adjust the heights for our tablet and mobile. So let's go in there, roll over where we put our height in there. We could use regular height if you wanted to, but like I say, minimum height, if it needs that little bit of extra space, it can do. So on tablet, let's take a look. I clicked on the little phone type icon, which brings up 3 little tabs there. Desktop, tablet, which is what we're on at the moment. Just go down. Yeah, I might like that a little bit deeper. Let's try the 300. It's just taking up the available space. I think so. Once I've added a bit of padding, that's going to work kind of for me. Obviously, adjust yours as you wish. And let's go to mobile. Roll back up there. And again, I think this one probably wants to be about 350. So again, I'm just putting 350 in. It'll put the pics in. That's great. So for all my devices, it's about the size I want. Now, whenever you do anything like this for tablet and mobile, you actually want to check it on those devices if you can, because this will get you close, but you may have to fine tune on the actual devices themselves. Great. Well, let's go back to desktop now. Great. And now let's just add a little padding to make this look a little nicer. So I'm going to close up sizing. I'm going to go to spacing just below here. Padding and margin you'll always find here. I'm going to give mine about 30 pixels all the way around. Just put in 30. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. We'll do the same for the left and right. Great, that's going to work for me. Fantastic. Okay, with these hover effects, if you watch any of my other hover effects videos, you'll know that the actual image that we're going to see first is going to reside in the column that this is sitting in. So while I'm in my blurb, I'm just going to pull the opacity down in design so we can see what's behind it, which will be nothing at the moment. So if I go down to filters, just going to bring that opacity down, that see-throughness, that makes it invisible, 0. Let's just save that. I'm going to go into the actual row now. Green tab for the row. And we're working on our first column here. Background's always under content. I've clicked on our first column. I'm going to go into the background. Third tab along is images. We'll just throw in that same one as we had before. As you can see, it's in there. It's the same shape as our actual blurb module. Our blurb module is still there. It's just invisible at the moment, so we can see what's going on here. Now, what I did with mine, this is entirely up to you. I added a little bit of text down here just to say you can click on it so that they know to click on it. You could put it up here in a separate title or something and just have it show on tablet and mobile. But I'm going to add mine as a pseudo element today. Let's go over to our advanced now. Still in the column settings where we put the image. I'm going to go down to custom CSS. I'm going to click on the module elements tab here. And in the before pseudo element here, we can add whatever we want. So I'm going to say I want to add some content. And you'll find this code down below for anybody that doesn't want to write it. But it is really easy. And I would encourage you to write CSS. It's a great thing to learn. So my content itself, let's open and close some inverted commas here. And let's say click more info, or whatever it is you want to put on yours. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's put it at the top. Looks like a capital L there. Let's just correct that. That's great. I want to give it an absolute position because I want mine to actually be on the bottom. So I'm going to put a semicolon. I'm going to say position, colon, absolute. And we'll put another little semicolon there. I want it to be about 10 pixels up from the bottom. So I'm going to say bottom, colon, 10 pixels. I don't know if you can see it down there. It's actually down at the bottom there. I also want it to be in the middle. So I'm going to say left, 50%, 50% across. I know you can't hardly see it there. We'll fix that in a moment. If I make it white, let's just say color. FFF. Might be able to see it a little bit better. It's there, but the C, the first letter right there, is right in the middle. I want the whole word to be right in the middle or centralized there. To do that, we can use a bit of transform translate and just drag it back by half of its width, which will put it in the middle. So let's do that. Transform, colon, translate. Then we add some round brackets right at the end with no gap. And I want to do negative 50%, half of its actual width there. Well, that'll do the width and height. And that's put it straight in the middle. Just where I wanted it. Now, to me, that's still a little difficult to read. So I'm going to put a little background color behind it. Let's put another little semicolon. Reason we put a semicolon there, if you don't, it won't read the next line of code. So I'm going to say background. I'm going to make it black, which is hashtag 000. That's okay. If that black is too much for you, you can take a bit of the opacity down by adding the other 3 zeros. Black is actually 6 zeros, but with CSS3 you only need 3. So let's add another 3. And then we can put a number in there, perhaps like 70. And it'll take it down to about 70% opacity. That's okay. Just want a little bit more on the end. It's a little tight either side there. So let's add a little bit of padding. So say padding. Say 2 pixels top and bottom, and maybe 5 pixels left and right. I think that works for me. Obviously adjust it to your taste. Great, so we've got what we want there. That's in the background, remember. This is sitting in the column, and we've got our blurb module on top of this, which we just can't see at the moment. So let's save this. We'll save the row settings. Go back in our blurb and just bring it back so we can see it. Design. Filters, we just brought that opacity slider down. I'm going to bring it back. There we go. Great. Let's now add a little bit of code. I'm going to add a code module. I'm going to put mine up here. It doesn't matter too much where you put it. It doesn't take up much real estate. I'm just putting mine under this middle button at the top here. And I've written some code for you, some JavaScript and some CSS here. And you want to copy it from the closing script tag there, all the way up to the opening style tag. Within the style tags, we've got a bit of CSS code, and I'll explain it in a minute. Within the script tags, we've got a bit of JavaScript. So select it all, copy it, Control-C, or however you like to copy yours. Make sure you don't cut off any of these pointy brackets there. It will not work if you do that. And you will find this link down below also, just down below the pseudo element code that we wrote there. Okay. Go back to our site now. Put your cursor in your code module. We can paste our code in there. I've got a couple of class names here. CSS class names. One of BLB. It's kind of my shorthand for blurb. You can call yours what you want, but they want to be unique. And this is telling it to be fully visible, and it's forcing, overriding any styles that are there. Then I've got another one, which is BGIM, which is kind of my shorthand for background image. So to see the background image, I want to take the opacity away from our little blurb module like we did just now, which is what this is doing. I've got a little transition for both of them, BLB and BGIM. It's taking 3/4 of a second. And when we put our mouse over it, it's going to change to that little hand icon indicating that you can click on something. And the script down below is very simple. All I've got is a bit of JavaScript here that's telling it if you click on an element and it's got a class name of BGIM, it's going to flip it to BLB. If it's got the BLB, it's going to flip it back to BGIM. So we're just changing classes with our click there. So initially, I don't want to see this blurb module at all. So I'm going to give it the class name of BGIM for background image. BGIM, we're looking at the image. BLB, we're looking at the blurb. So that's the one I want to start with. When you write code, you need a dot or a period in front of any CSS class name. When you apply it to an element, you do not need that dot. So it's just BGIM is what I'm copying here. I'm going to save my little code settings. I'm going to go back into my module here. Over to Advanced is where you'll always find CSS IDs and classes and custom CSS. Make sure you put it in the class name, not in the CSS ID there. As you can see, it's faded out and left us with our image with our little click more info button there. Great. Now to rinse and repeat while I'm in here before we test this on the front, and I'll just show you how easy it is to repeat this. Let's just go into our back end here. I'll go over the left hand side, it's wireframe mode. Here's our blurb module. All I'm going to do is duplicate it 3 times or 2 times or however many you've got. There's one. I'm going to drag it across. We'll duplicate again, drag it across. And because we're giving these a fixed height, you can have different amounts of text in each and they'll continue to be the same height. Let's cut this one off here perhaps. And we'll cut this one off here. And remember, these have already got your class names applied, so we don't need to add any more class names or anything like this. Let's just delete a little bit there. Great. Now what I want to do is go into the row, back into our columns, because I want to add A, the image, and B, that little bit of code in the pseudo element. So let's go into our first one, go over to Advanced. Remember, that's where we'll find custom CSS and CSS IDs and classes. In the module elements is where we wrote that code. I'm going to copy that, Control-C. I'm going to save. I'm going to paste it in our second one. Make sure we put it in the before. It'll work in the after as well, but I'm using the before to mine. And we're going to do the same for the third one there. Just in there, over to Advanced, Custom CSS, Module Elements before. Pop that one in there. And while we're in here, we can go back to our content, background. We'll add the image, I'm in the third one at the moment. We'll pop that little fella in. Save that. And for our middle one, we just need to add the image again here. And let's pop this fella in there. Great. Well, you'll notice now if I flip back to desktop mode, we've got our 3 images with the little click for more info there. And we can't see any of our blurb modules. Once we save, we'll be able to activate this. Let's save the changes. Save the row changes. We'll save the page changes. And let's exit the visual builder. Roll on down. There's our 3 images with that little note on the bottom. When I roll over, we got our little hand icon. When I click, our little blurb module is going to fade in over 0.75 seconds. Same with these 2 here. As you can see, we've got different amounts of text in each of these and they're remaining the same height. Just click again, and it'll go back to the image. Like I say, really nice little interactive feature to have on your website. And as you can see, really easy to do. Once you've got one, just rinse and repeat. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them, or make a little demo video just like this one. If you've enjoyed this today, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.